For some reason, when it comes to modes, people either want to overcomplicate it or gatekeep it. Today, we're going to learn the Dorian shape, what it is, and how to use it. We will be approaching this shape using the 1 octave scale method, which in my opinion is the best way to approach scales rather than trying to learn them in one big giant shape. This is part 2 in our Scale Simplified series. I'll leave a link to part 1 in the description below, which goes over the 1 octave scale method and why I think it's superior. In part 1, we went over the major scale shape, or you can call it the Ionian shape. In this video, and just like in the first series, we're going to be working in the key of G, just to keep things simple and keep the flow from the last video to the next video. This video is going to be a little bit different than the first one, because I want to dive more into the theory now that we're adding more shapes into the mix. So just for a quick recap, here was the first shape that we used, the major shape or the Ionian shape. So in that first video, I talked about how you can use this one shape to help you memorize the notes on the fretboard and to be able to play the same scale shape in different locations on the neck. So if you haven't watched that, I highly recommend that you please go back and watch that first, so that way you can get caught up to speed on what's going on in this video. So just like in part 1, all the same principles apply here. We're going to learn the shape, then we're going to memorize its note and its octave, and then we're going to play it on several different locations on the neck. So here is the Dorian shape that we're going to be using today. All right, so now that we have our shape, it's important that we practice this using the 1 octave scale method. So we're going to start by saying the name of the root, and then we're going to play up through the scale until we hit the octave saying its name as well. And once we hit that octave, the pattern just repeats. Just bear in mind that when you get to your B string, you have to slide the whole thing up 1 fret to account for the tuning. Saying the name of the root note, and when you reach the octave, is going to help you memorize the notes on the neck of your fretboard. A. 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 So just like in the first video, I want you to play, starting on the root, play that Dorian shape up to the octave, and then repeat that pattern everywhere that you can find that root note on the neck of your guitar. If you do this for like a week solid, you're going to have that note memorized all over the fretboard of your guitar. So let's shift gears now and talk about the theory behind Dorian. If you notice, I only refer to this as the Dorian shape and not the Dorian mode. And there's a big reason for that. Modes are not scales. You remember when you learned the pentatonic scale and you learned the 5 patterns, right? You didn't say this is B Aeolian pentatonic. Of course not. You just said this is A minor pentatonic if you were starting on the root. And if you weren't on the root, you'd say this is the second shape of the A minor pentatonic or something like that. You referred to everything as shapes, not modes, correct? So it's no different when it comes to our major scale. For some reason, when it comes to modes, people either want to overcomplicate it or gatekeep it. But I'm going to show you just how easy they are to understand and so that you won't be confused by them anymore. The first thing to understand is that in any key, there really is only one scale. And that's the exact reason why you didn't have 5 different names for the pentatonic shapes. And when you played those pentatonic scales, you were already playing modal. Most likely you were playing the Aeolian mode. But back to what I was saying, there really is only one scale, and that's the diatonic scale. The 7 shapes, or the 7 modes, is just an easier way to break that diatonic scale down into smaller patterns so you can memorize the notes. So Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian are all just different shapes that describe the diatonic scale. So here's how modes work. So we have our key, and the key that we're working in today is the key of G. So our parent key is the key of G. So what we really have here is just one diatonic scale in the key of G. So if we take our first shape, you can call it the Ionian shape, the major scale shape, or whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. If you play a chord progression where G is the tonal center of that chord progression and you play that scale shape over it, it will sound Ionian or major. So let's take a look at that and hear how it sounds. So without changing our scale shape, let's play it over the next chord in the diatonic scale, which is a Dorian. So I hope you're getting an understanding of how this actually works, and it's helping to clear up the confusion about modes. The names of the modes are telling you what chords you're playing over, and they are also telling you what parent key you are in. Dorian is the second mode. So if I want to play an A Dorian, I need to know what key has A as its second chord. Well, as we just saw, that comes from the parent key of G. So I need to make my modal chord the tonal center, and then I can just play that key's diatonic scale over the top of that. And you can use any shape of the 7 shapes that you want to solo over that. It doesn't matter. You can use the Ionian shape, the Dorian shape, the Phrygian shape, whichever one you want. Those shapes are all the same notes of the diatonic scale of the parent key. So you can use any shape that you want. Just remember to try to target the note of the chords that you're playing over. So if you have an atonal center of A minor, A Dorian, then you want to try to target that A note as much as possible. So you could really break this down into 3 easy steps. Step 1, pick a key. Step 2, pick a mode that you want to write a chord progression. Step 3, you can write your melody or your solo using the parent key's diatonic scale, using any of the 7 positions that you would like. Just remember to try to target those root notes. All right, guys, I hope this video helped you out. Understanding modes and what they are. What makes a song modal is the chords that are playing underneath, not the scale that you are playing. Please like and subscribe for more videos. A link's in the description to that part 1 video. Please go check that out. And go check out our website at 440club.com. Hope to see you there. See you guys in the next video.